We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Gimel Amud Aleph and Meseches Menachos. This is Menachos Daf 53a. On the previous Amud, the Mishnah said that all Menachos, all carbon minchas, they're made of matzah with the exception of the chametz loaves of the carbon toda and also the shtei halechem. Those are chametz, but other than that, they're all matzah. And on the previous Amud, Rabbi Preda asked Rabbi Yami, what is the source of this, that all menachos are made of matzah? And Rabbi Yami replied, what do you mean, what is the source? By some of the carbon minchas, the pasuk actually says it's matzah. And even if the pasuk doesn't say, there's a general pasuk that includes all the rest. The pasuk says, Zos Toras hamincha hakrevo sa b'nei Aaron lifnei Hashem al p'nei hamizbeach v'hanoseres mimena yochlu Aaron uvonav. And the pasuk says, matzos te'achil. That pasuk of Zos Toras hamincha, it says matzos te'achil. So you see, they're all matzah. Rashi here continues from the previous Amud, but Tzav es Aaron, again, this pasuk is in Tzav. T'chsiv Zos Toras hamincha chsiv basrei matzos te'achil. And as Rashi said on the previous Amud, this pasuk includes all of the rest of the menachos, and so therefore it's a clear source. What do you even mean by the question? And the Gemara continues, Amar Lei, he said back to him, Rabbi Preda said back to Rabbi Ami, mitzvah lo kami boili. It's not a question to me in terms of the fact that it's a mitzvah that it should be made from matzah. That I understand. That's from the pasuk. Ki kami boili. The question that I had is la'akev, in terms of the fact that it's required that it be matzah, that if it's chametz, that it's going to be disqualified. That was my question. Amar Lei, he said to him, la'akev nami, in terms of the fact that it's required also. Ksiv, it's written in the pasuk. There's another pasuk. It says lo seyafe chametz. It says it cannot be baked as chametz. So clearly the pasuk is saying it can't be chametz. Ela matzah. Rather, what does it mean? It means to say it can't be chametz, but it must be matzah. So that pasuk shows that it's required. But the Gemara questions this source to show the requirement. Maskeflar Rav Chisda asks on this, V'ema, but why don't we say that really lo seyafe chametz, when it says it shouldn't be baked chametz, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be matzah. It might mean it can't be chametz ela seyor. Rather, what it should be is seyor. Seyor is not the same as seor. Again, seor is sourdough that's used as a leavening agent, but seyor means that it's on the way to becoming chametz, but it's not quite chametz. There's a machlokas, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, exactly what seyor, at what stage it's considered to be seyor. Rabbi Meir says that seyor is the stage when it starts to darken. Rabbi Yehuda says it has to get a little further along. It's only considered seyor when the dough starts to crack. According to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir's level, when it just starts to darken, that is still matzah. But again, Rabbi Yehuda says that it has to be, it's only considered seyor when it starts to crack. Rabbi Meir considers at that point, when it starts to crack, that it's actually chametz. And so the Gemara now continues and clarifies seyor deman, when you're saying that maybe the pasuk means that it shouldn't be baked as chametz, but rather it should be seyor. Which seyor are we talking about? Either Rabbi Meir, if we're talking about the seyor of Rabbi Meir, meaning when it just starts to darken, li Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, so matzah ma'al yehi, that's totally matzah, so that would be in the category of matzah, so that wouldn't make any sense. That would still be saying it has to be matzah. And the Gemara continues, either Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Meir, if it's Rabbi Yehuda's level of seyor when it starts to crack, but according to the opinion of Rabbi Meir, but then chametz ma'al Yehu. Rabbi Meir holds that Rabbi Yehuda's seyor is considered totally to be chametz. And either Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Meir, now if it's Rabbi Meir's level of seyor according to Rabbi Meir, here we have a second machlokus between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says that when it is seyor, so then it's considered to be at the level of chametz nuksha, in terms of chametz on Pesach, and there actually is malchus in that situation. Rabbi Yehuda says by seyor there is no malchus, it's just something that's prohibited on a derabanan level. And so the Gemara says either Rabbi Meir or Rabbi Meir, if it's Rabbi Meir's seyor, according to Rabbi Meir, midalaki aleh, from the fact that there's malchus, so chametzu, so clearly that also is in the category of chametz, it's not a different category. And so the Gemara says ella, rather to Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Yehuda. What we're saying is maybe it's Rabbi Yehuda's level of seyor according to Rabbi Yehuda, so that's not quite matzah, it's not quite chametz, it's that in between, and therefore the pasuk might be referring to that, and it's not necessarily referring to matzah. You can't use this pasuk as a source. Rashi explains, seyor de Rabbi Meir is kol shechsifu panav, again, as long as it darkens, beperek elu over, and that's in Psachim, in perek elu over, and that's Rabbi Meir's seyor. Rabbi Yehuda matzah ma'al yehi, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir's seyor is considered in the category of matzah. Vi seyor de Rabbi Yehuda, and if we're talking about the seyor of Rabbi Yehuda, dehainu karnei chagavim, which is karnei chagavim, essentially cracks appear in the dough, the kaboy lememer Rabbi Meir te'afes seyor, and we're saying according to Rabbi Meir it should instead be baked as seyor, but again, that would be chametz ma'al Yehu. That actually would be chametz. And so the Gemara then said, Elad Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, hachi garsin ani leimad Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, matzah ma'al Yehu, Elad Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda. Again, the Gemara concluded, we're talking about Rabbi Yehuda seyor according to Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara continues, Maskeflor of Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak asks, he has another possibility what the pasuk means. Again, it might not mean lo se'af chametz ela matzah. It might mean something else. V'ema, why don't we say lo se'af chametz? It shouldn't be baked as chametz ela cholot. Rather, it should be baked cholot. Cholot means that they would put scalding hot water on the dough before baking it. That was a way of preventing it from really becoming full-fledged chametz, essentially boiling it first. And the Gemara says, well, if you're going to say that the pasuk means cholot, so cholot ma'niu. So what exactly is cholot? That's revicha. The pasuk calls that revicha. That's essentially the same thing. There are some carbon minchas that are specifically supposed to be revucha. The pasuk actually says revucha. And so that's what the Gemara says. Iti ika revicha ksiv ba revicha. Now, if it's supposed to be revicha, that's actually written in the pasuk. V'halo ksiv ba revicha. And here it doesn't say that. And Rashi explains, Revucha b'mayim roschin. Revucha again means scalding hot water. Kedamrinan b'Toras Kohanim. That's what we say in Toras Kohanim. Gabe chavisin morbeches. It says by chavisin morbeches. Melamed shenasis beroschin called sarchan v'huchalot. Again, that shows that we're going to use the boiling hot water. That is what chalot is. But the Gemara questions this because idi ika revucha, meaning mincha shemitzvasa b'revucha. There are some carbon minchas where the mitzvah specifically is revucha. So ksiv behedya morbeches tehei. It says explicitly in the pasuk it should be more beches. Shelo te'afa chametz, that it shouldn't be baked as chametz. And lo ksiv ba revucha. Now, if it doesn't say revucha te'afena, only the lo ksiba from the fact that it doesn't say the word revucha, shma mino lav revucha ba'inan. We see that revucha is not what's required, meaning to say you can't possibly explain the pasuk as lo se'afa chametz elo cholot, meaning lo se'afa chametz elo revucha, because we see that when the pasuk requires revucha, it actually says revucha. It wouldn't be contained in a pasuk of lo se'afa chametz. But the Gemara questions this also. Ve'ema, but why not? Why can't we say Techsiv ba revicha if the word revucha is written in the pasuk or morbeches is written in the pasuk? So mitzvah. So then it's a mitzvah to be that way. Mitzvah ba revicha. Then it's a mitzvah that it should be revucha. But maybe with the lo ksiv ba revicha, if it's not written revicha, like over here where it says lo se'afa chametz, and we're just inferring revucha. So maybe there it's not a mitzvah that it be revucha, but maybe it means iboy revicha laisi. If you want, you could bring it revicha. Iboy matzah laisi, and if you want it, you can bring in matzah. And so therefore, if you could interpret that way again, you wouldn't necessarily say that the pasuk means lo se'afa chametz ela matzah. Maybe it means lo se'afa chametz, but it can be revucha or it can be matzah. And the Gemara continues, Maskef lo Ravina. Ravina asks, V'yema, why don't we say that maybe lo se'afa chametz means as follows: lo se'afa chametz lemekam gavra belav bialma. Maybe lo se'afa chametz means that if the person does bake it as chametz, it's a lav. It's going to be a violation of a negative commandment. V'yivsule lo mifsula, but it's not necessarily a disqualification. Again, you cannot necessarily learn a disqualification from this pasuk, and therefore we are back to our question: from where do we get this requirement that it be matzah? It's not from this pasuk of lo se'afa chametz. And so the Gemara says ela minolan. So rather, from where? Meaning, what is the source? And the Gemara says kidetani. It says we learn in the following brisa matzah. It says matzah yachol mitzvah. One might think that the matzah is just for a mitzvah lechatchila to be matzah. Talmud Lomar, the pasuk says tihiyah. The pasuk says tihiyah, and we learn from the word tihiyah hakasav kavachova. The word tihiyah indicates that the pasuk is establishing this as an obligation. And the Gemara continues, Boin mina Rav Preda Rabbi Ami. Rav Preda asked Rav Ami the following question: Minayin l'chol ha-menachos sheni loshos beposhin u'meshamron shelo yachmitza. From where do we know that all the menachos, they should be kneaded beposhin, which means with lukewarm water, and then they have to be guarded? We'll see Rashi in a moment what that means. They should be guarded that they should not become chametz. Rashi explains, Minayin l'chol ha-menachos sheni loshos beposhin v'yishmerem shelo yachmitza. From where do we know that they should be kneaded in lukewarm water and then guarded not to become chametz? The Katani Masnis, and this is really a reference to the Mishnah later on. The Mishnah later on says, Kol ha-menachos niloshos beposhin. It says all carbon minchas are kneaded with lukewarm water. Umeshamran shelo yachmitzu, and then they're guarded that they shouldn't become chametz. Sheni loshos, what that means is kilomar the hoil v'niloshos. It means since they are kneaded beposhin with lukewarm water, since that is the case, so mitzvah l'shomrim, it's a mitzvah to guard them shelo yachmitzu, so that it shouldn't become chametz. Now, how do you guard it? V'shimor, what is shimor? What is guarding? Hainu sheyasok bevatzek kolsha. That means that you have to be kneading the dough the entire time. By kneading the dough, that prevents it from becoming chametz, kedamrin and b'psachim, like we say in psachim. And the Gemara continues, and this is Rabbi Preda continuing the question question, Nilmedena mi Pesach, should we learn this out from Pesach? T'chsiv, as it's written by Pesach, it says, Ushmartem es hamatzos, you have to guard the matzos. Maybe that is the source of this idea of Shmira over here by Menachos. And the Gemara continues, Amar Le, he said to him, Rabbi Ami said to Rabbi Preda, no, you don't need to learn from there. Begufa ksiv, it's actually written by the Karban Mincha itself. It says again, Matzotia, that's the same pasuk we quoted above, Matzotia, and that tells us that it should be guarded not to become chametz. We learn from Matzotia, Hachayeh. Hachayeh literally means to make it alive, so to speak, but Rashi says it means Hachayeh, Kilomar Hechshireno, Vishamra means prepare it, make it ready, and guard it. That's what we learn from Matzotia. But the Gemara says, 1 second, if we just used Matzotia above to say that it's a requirement that it be matzah, now you're using it for the idea of Shmira as well. And the Gemara says, no, we can learn both, because in Cain, if all we were learning was la'akev, lichtov kra matzohi, then it could be written in the pasuk matzohi. It wouldn't have to say tihya. My tihya, what's this use of the word tihya? Shamat mina tarti. So we see from here both ideas. And the Gemara continues, Amri le Rabbanan le Rabbi Preda. The Rabbanan said to Rabbi Preda, Rabbi Ezra bar berei de Rabbi Avtulis. Rabbi Ezra, the son of Rabbi Avtulis, to who Asiri le Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who is the 10th generation from Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, to Asiri le Ezra, who's 10th generation from Ezra, koya above. He's standing by the gate, he's standing by the door. Amar, so he said, Rabbi Preda said, my kuli hi, what is all of this introduction of his lineage? Ibar Uryan hu yoy, if he's somebody who's able to learn, who knows Torah, then good. Ibar Uryan uvar avon yoy, and let's say he's able to learn and he also has great lineage, that's good. V'ibar avon v'lo bar Uryan, but if he's somebody who's bar avon, he has lineage, but he doesn't know Torah, so Eisha teichle, so then a fire should consume him. There's nothing great about the lineage. Amrulay, they said to him, Bar Uryan, who he is somebody who knows Torah. Amar Lu, so he said to them, Leol v'leise, he should come. He should come up and come in, and Chazio dehave achira daiti. And then Rabbi Preda saw that Rabbi Ezra was achira daiti, which means that his mind was unsettled, and so therefore he decided to start with some agadata in order to settle his mind. Pasach v'yamar, he opened and he said as follows. The pasuk says, Amrit la Hashem, Hashem atat tovasi ba'alolecha. The pasuk says, you say Hashem, you are my master, tovasi ba'alolecha. My gratitude is not upon you. And what is the meaning of this pasuk? This is a pasuk in Tehillim. So he darshan the pasuk as follows. When it says Amarta la Hashem, Hashem, it means Amra Knesses Yisrael Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It means the Klal Yisrael says before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the world, Hachazek li Tov. It means you should give me gratitude, thanks, so to speak, Shehodaticha ba'olam, because I am the one that made you known in the world. Rashi explains, Shehodaticha shani miyachet shemcha ba'olam. I'm the one that makes your name one in the world, and so therefore, so to speak, HaKadosh Baruch Hu owes a debt of gratitude. And the Gemara continues, Amar Lo, so he said to Knesset Yisrael, Tovasi ba'alolecha, it's not to you. My gratitude, my thanks is not to you. Eini machzik tov ela la'Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yakov. Rather, I only give my gratitude, so to speak, to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Shehudiyuni techila b'olam, that they were the first to make me known in the world. Shenemar, as it says, Likdoshim asher ba'aretz heima v'adire kol chefsi bam. So it refers to those who are the holy ones who are interred in the earth, asher ba'aretz, and therefore again that's a reference to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And the Gemara continues, Kevan deshame dekamar adir. When Rabbi Ezra heard that Rabbi Preda mentioned this pasuk which mentions adir, so he had a drasha of his own. Pasach v'yamar, he opened and he said, Yavo adir v'yifra la'adirim me adirim bo adirim. The adir should come and he should pay to the adirim from the adirim in the adirim. What does that mean? It means as follows: Yavo adir ze HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yavo adir is a reference to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called adir. T'chsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, adir b'morom Hashem, and so that's the adir who's Yavo. V'yifra la'adirim, he should pay to the adirim. Who are the adirim? Elu Yisrael. This is Klal Yisrael. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, v'adire kol cheftzei bam. That's the pasuk we just quoted above. And me adirim, he should pay from the adirim. Elu ha-mitzrim. These are the mitzrim. So on behalf of Klal Yisrael, he should punish the mitzrim. T'chsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, tzalalu koferes b'mayim adirim. That's a reference to the mitzrim. The Egyptians are called the adirim, and bo adirim, they're punished bo adirim. That's elu mayim. That's a reference to the water. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, mikolos mayim rabim adirim mishbereyam. And Rashi explains, Kevon deshame Rabbi Ezra Rabbi Preda dekamar adire kol chefsei bam. When Rabbi Ezra heard Rabbi Preda mention this pasuk of adire kol chefsei bam, nizker agada shel Adir. He remembered an Agadata that has to do with Adir. Yavo Adir kilomar kachamar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What it means to say is that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Kisha'asa nekama b'Mitzrayim, when he took vengeance upon the Egyptians, Solo koferes b'mayim, Mitzrim shehem Adirim. The Mitzrim were the Adirim. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Ezra makes a similar statement, continuing, Yavo Yedid ben Yedid, v'yivna Yedid liyedid bechelko shel Yedid. The Yedid, the son of the Yedid, should come and build the Yedid for the Yedid in the portion of Yedid, v'yeschapru bo Yedidim, and then the Yedidim, they will get kapara, they will get atonement. What does this mean? It means as follows, Yavo Yedid, when it says Yavo Yedid, the Yedid should come, says Shlomo HaMelech, that refers to Shlomo HaMelech. Techsiv, as it's written, Vayishlach biad Nasan hanavi vayikra shmo Yedidya ba'avur Hashem. And so that's a reference again to Shlomo HaMelech, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Nun Gimel Amid Beis.